The objectives for this lesson is for you to be able to say, I can persist in developing skills with various materials, methods, and approaches. I can mix the paint of the primary colors only to create an entire color wheel. And I can create tints and shades of colors. The essential question is, what happens when different colors of paint are mixed together? Take a look over the standards as well. Today we're going to practice mixing colors of paint. We're going to paint a color wheel, and we're going to paint some tints and some shades as well. But before we start painting, we need to take a look at the painting procedures. So the first thing we'll do is cover our workspace completely with newspaper. We're going to write our name and class on the back of our project before beginning. We're going to roll our sleeves up and take an apron if you like. We're only going to take a small amount of paint. We'll use a magazine as our paint palette, and when we clean up, we can tear the page with paint off, throw it in the trash, and return our magazine to the stack. When we're finished, we'll put our paintings on the drying rack together with the rest of our class. Only one person will be at the sink at a time. You will clean your water cup and brush thoroughly, and wash your brush on the art soap, running the bristles along the art soap to break up any remaining paint. You will leave the cup and brush to dry on the dish drying rack next to the sink. If your apron is good, we'll save it. If it got lots of paint on it, we'll throw it away. And we'll throw away the newspaper and wipe up any spilled paint on the table or the floor. So those are our painting procedures. First thing we're going to do is put newspaper down. Then we're going to write our name on the top. First and last name. Put today's date. And I'm doing this in December. You guys aren't going to do this until probably January. So you'll write today's date and your class. So if I have Thursday, 8th grade as my class, I would write R8. If I'm in a different class, I would write the code for that class. Don't forget to roll up your sleeves or put on an apron. I'm going to wear my art lab coat today so I can get paint on here, but you probably don't want to get paint on your clothes. All right, I've got my vintage copy of Martha Stewart Living here from February of 1997. We're going to use that as our paint palette. I'm going to start you off with just the primary colors. So, yellow, blue, and red. I gave you more yellow than anything else because you need more of the lighter colors when you mix and less of the darker. You will need very little blue when you mix colors in comparison to yellow. All right, let's take a look here. The first thing we see is on our worksheet, there are some colors labeled. So let's start with some of the labeled colors. I have my paintbrush, my cup of water, paper towels, and for today I have a couple different types of palette knives that I'll pass out to you guys. After we use the palette knife each time, we'll wipe it to keep it clean. All right, let's start with yellow. I'll take my paintbrush, take a paper towel, blot the water, and let's dive right into our yellow paint. We want to fill the circle. I'm not grading you on how well you can fill the circle though. It's the grade on how well you can mix the colors. So if you get outside the lines a little bit, that's okay. All right, yellow's done. Let's wash our brush. Blot it dry. Let's go into red. All right, wash our brush. And it's very important, since we're painting on copy paper today, that we dry our brush pretty well. Because copy paper can take paint, but if it's very, very wet paint, like watercolor or very diluted tempera paint, it will break the paper. All right, how about blue? I see right here. Uh-oh, outside the lines. All right, there's my 3 primary colors. Now we're gonna move on to our secondary colors. So I do see orange labeled here. Orange would be here, I would have green, and I would have purple here. So let's do orange first. We're gonna use yellow and a little bit of red. So I'm gonna take my palette knife, I'm gonna scoop some of my yellow, put it off to the side here. And then I want to take a little bit of red. But before I go into the red with my dirty palette knife, let's wipe it. Take a little bit of red. And now we're gonna mix it together. The palette knife makes it easy to mix colors. And you can kind of scrape them so that they don't spread out really wide, but instead you can have a small area with the color to paint from. And this is looking to me a little bit more of a red-orange right now. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. And I'm gonna paint where I know red-orange would be. So as we're mixing colors, be smart about it. And if you're in the middle of 2 colors and you know that's gonna go on your color wheel, you can use that color dry our brush. And now I'm gonna add some more yellow and attempt to make it look more like orange. Once again, cleaning my palette knife. A little bit more yellow. And if you notice the paper start to rip, just kind of scrape your paint a little bit over to a different area. To make yellow orange. But what I might do is grab a big chunk of yellow, put it off to the side here, and just take a little bit of this. Because once again, it takes a lot more of your light color than it does a darker color. Just like that, we have a lot of our warm colors done already. Let's wash our brush and let's move on. Now we know yellow and blue together make green. So I'm gonna have green right here. So let's take our remaining yellow paint and let's start by adding just a little bit of blue to it. All right, now it's time to move on. In between of blue and red is going to be purple. So let's take our red and let's add just a little bit of blue and we'll start to work our way over. Remember, when you talk about the tertiary colors, we always say the primary color name first. So this is blue-purple, not purple-blue. We have finished our color wheel, but now we're gonna work on some tints and shades. So a tint is a color with white added to it, and a shade is a color with black added to it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start here with white with a small amount of another color in it. So let's get our white paint out. I'm gonna put a little bit of white paint right here. And since I already have this lovely blue purple on my brush, I'm gonna go in with that, and I'm just gonna stir around right here. And when I add this white, I make this tint of blue purple, and it kind of makes a pastel type color. All right, so we're gonna go in, and I think I can make a lighter version of this too. Let's go here. Let's put a little bit more white. Let's make a lighter version. There we go. That looks good. All right, so we're gonna paint white with a small amount of another hue. And once again, I'm not grading you guys on how perfectly you can paint within the lines. This is more of a practice exercise on mixing paints. Ooh, I think my last one got a lot more intense than my other colors. But that's okay. Those are some tints. Now we're gonna make some shades. So we're gonna start with a color here, and we're gonna add a little bit of black to darken it each step along the way. I've got a good amount of orange and a good amount of red left on my paper. So let's do red, why not? So we're gonna start with just red. All right, I got my red. Now we're gonna add a little bit of black to our red. We finished our worksheet. Take a picture of it, turn it in to Google Classroom, and let's clean up. So we're gonna rip off the first couple pages here, and this is gonna go in the trash. Any of our painty paper towels are gonna go in the trash. We're gonna take our water cup, our paintbrush, and our palette knife over to the sink. We're gonna wash them out really nicely, put them in the drying rack, and then we'll throw away our newspaper.